Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to go through the basic structure of an XLS form, and hopefully by the end of the video we'll create a very simple XLS form. I'm going to be using this XLS form template by ODK. So ODK put out this amazing XLS form template. I'll be adding it to the description of the video, the link to the template. You can use the Google Sheets version, make a copy and work on it, or download the Excel version. I will be using the Excel version as I highlighted in my last video. So you can download a copy and follow along. So the basic format of an XLS form goes like this. You have two main sheets, two main workbook, the survey sheet and the choices sheet, and then a third optional, the third additional one, which is the settings sheet, which is for specifications, which will be described, for specifications of what your form should look like. The survey sheet has three mandatory columns. That's the type column, the name column, and the label column. So the type column takes in the type of question you are adding. So there are a list of question types which have been added as a drop down for this template. So you can just click on the drop down and select it. As you go along, you would see how each question type is used. The name column specifies a unique variable name for the entry. So the rules, it has rules for working with. You can't have duplicate column names. It can't start with a number. It has to begin with a letter or underscore, and it can contain anything from dash to digits to hyphen to underscores and periods, and they're case sensitive. So name is not the same as name. Sorry, I wrote Bain, but yes, name is not the same as name in capital letter N. So these are not the same with the name column. And the label is where the actual text of what the user is going to see on the form is written. So for example, this could be name, and on my label it could be something like, what is your name? Or write your name in full, or something like that, anything. Other column headers are attributes, which we'll discuss as we go through the tutorial. Various question types have different attributes you can add and what you write under the column headers to work with. For the choices sheet, this is where you specify all your choices. It also has three mandatory columns. So the first column is list name, the second one is the name, and the third one is the label. So the list name is where it lets you group all related options together. So you give the options a specific name while defining it in the survey sheet, and then you give all the names. You specify the name here, and the name column is also similar to the name option in your survey. It has to be unique, and it's what the XLS form is going to return at the end of the day once you collect data. Label is what the actual text that the user would see at the end of the day. And the settings sheet is for it's where you specify your title, your ID, your default language, your version, and other settings for your XLS form. We'll explore that later on, but for now we're just going to work with survey and choices sheet. So as I highlighted, you have a list of questions. Let me go ahead and delete these two. So you have a drop down of questions here. So let's begin with something very basic. So I'm going to create an XLS form that takes in the information of students, right? So I'm going to ask for their name, I'm going to ask for their date of birth, I'm going to ask for their gender, I'm going to ask for their address, I'm going to ask for their from their country of origin, yes, and also their ethnicity. All right. So the first one we want to ask is name, right? Name is the type of question is a text. We just want them to write their name, right? So the thing that it could be something like, let's say, full name, or let's put it together. Let's separate it and let's say text, and this would be first name. So this would be first name, and then the label would be, what is your first name? So I'll ask the middle name also. so it's also a text, and so this would be middle name. And I'll ask something similar, so I'm just going to do this instead of writing it all over again. So I'm just going to edit this to be middle, and this would be last name or surname, however you want. So I'm going to use last name. So the three questions are going to ask for first name, middle name, and last name, though that's what the first three questions going to ask. The user would see what is your first name, the second question would ask them what is your middle name, the third question would ask what is your last name. So the next thing would be date of birth. So for the date of birth, the question type would be a date. So we're going to look for a date option within. So we have date time and we have date time, but we're only interested in date. So we're going to use date, and then we're going to just say DOB. And then we're going to write what is your date of birth. Yeah, I made a mistake here. And then I'm going to ask for their address. So the address would also be a text. So going to be text, and I'm going to add address. I'm just going to write address here. The next question I would want to ask is the country of origin. So from the country of origin, I know the list of countries, right? The list of countries we have as a finite number. I can get that number. So maybe the pool of students I have only have a certain list of states of origin. So I'm going to use a select one option. I want them to select from a list of options. So I'm going to use the select option. So now, as you can see, it says select one and then list name. So I'm going to give it a name, the name of the list. So the name of the list would be country. Ignore the error or the warning Excel or Google Sheets going to give you here. It's not part of the drop-down, but this is how it's going to work. So country is the unique identifier that this question is going to look out for on the choices sheet. So I'm going to say country of origin, which is going to be my question name, country of origin. And I'm going to ask here, what is your country of origin? And then for ethnicity, I'm going to also have a select one where the person is going to select their ethnic group. So I'm going to have ethnicity. That would be my list name, and then I'm going to write ethnic group. And I'm also going to ask, what is your ethnic group? So now I've added all the questions I want to ask. I want to ask the first name, the second name, the last name, and the date of birth, then address, the country, and ethnicity. But these two options are select one options, so I need to define the choices. So I'm going to do that on the choices sheet. So my options are country and ethnicity. So I'm going to come to choices, and my first option is country. So I'm going to specify country here. And so I only have a finite list, so maybe the countries are just, so I'm going to use NG for Nigeria. I'm going to have, so since I have the options are more than one, I'll add list name to as many options as I have. So NG would be Nigeria, so I'll just add maybe IR. I would say Islamic I'm going to add a third country here, just a third one. So I'm going to add I'm going to add South Africa. So that would be ZA, and I'm going to write South Africa. So these are the options I have for the select one question for country of origin. So for ethnicity, I'm going to write ethnicity as I specified with my choices name, ethnicity. So just to avoid this, usually what I do is just copy and I paste, so that way I'm sure that because if the choice name is not clearly specified, there wouldn't be any choice for the question, and so you risk not seeing those choices you wrote at the end of the day on your survey sheet. So I'm going to write the 3 major languages we have in Nigeria: Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. I'm just going to add Fulani here. So for this case, I want them to look the same. I don't mind, so I might just have them look the same. You can make this maybe HSYB, just as I did with countries. But this is how you create them. So now I've created a very basic XLS form, and so to see that my XLS form works the way I need it to work, I would need to validate my form. And so the next thing is to validate your form and make sure it works the way you want it to work. To do that, we use the website. So now we're going to validate our form and make sure our form works the way it's intended to work. So you save it, and you know the directory you saved it in. So I'm going to choose file and navigate to where I selected it. So it's on my desktop. It's called ODK XLSForm template. So here it is. I'm going to submit. My form is validated, so I can preview it on my browser and see how it appears. So as you can see, I have the questions as I stated them. So my first name could be anything as a text input, my middle name, the last name, then a date of birth, which is going to bring up a calendar since I specified it as a date, and then the address, which also gives me a text box to write in, and then with the select one, I can select only one option accordingly. And then once I click validate, this tells me that my form is valid, and so everything is fine, and I can go ahead and work on it. So we're going to be adding to these questions in the subsequent videos. We're going to be adding to this from the subsequent videos. So try out this yourself. If you're into error or any issue, you can leave it in the comment section. The ODK template has great resources within it. You can also check them out. I would encourage you to do that. Leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification button when I upload the next one. Thank you very much.